Excited to be here. God on the move. Love the theme that we have here today. This is so exciting. I have the privilege of being here on site with a handful of people and watching this thing live. And then I also have the privilege of sitting in the back and following Facebook and chatter with those of you that are chattering on Facebook. Please keep that up. We are living in exciting times. It's a time of shaking. Sometimes we focus on the shaking instead of focusing on what's going to come out of the shaking. Merle alluded to it earlier. The little book of Haggai, it's only two chapters long. Haggai the prophet speaks of the temple. He speaks of the former temple, then he says there's a shaking, and then he speaks of the latter temple. And he says the latter temple is going to be greater than the former, and I believe we're living in such a time as that. I believe that in the midst of shaking, we need to look at what God is going to do through the shaking instead of keeping all our focus on the shaking. The writer of Hebrews picks up those same verses and listen to what he says. I want to read to you out of the Message because it's so colorful. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 26 through 29 says this: His voice that time shook the earth to its foundations. This time, he's told us this quite plainly, he will also rock the heavens. One last shaking from top to bottom, stern to stern. The phrase, one last shaking, means a thorough house cleaning, getting rid of all the historical and religious junk so that the unshakable essentials stand clear and cluttered. When you understand what a shaking does, you embrace it and you look forward to the outcome post it or afterwards. Verse 28 says, do you see what we've got? This is after the shaking. We have an unshakable kingdom. Merle said this earlier. And do you see how thankful we must be? Not only thankful, but brimming with worship, deeply reverent before God. For God is not an indifferent bystander. He's actually cleaning house, touching all that needs to burn, and he won't quit until it's cleansed. God himself is a fire. God is on the move. He's moving globally. I'm so encouraged when I travel and when I get to travel and see what God is doing across the earth within the Dove family. And because we're kingdom people, we're excited about what he's doing outside of the Dove family as well. Shaking is always for our benefit. It's removing things that do not belong there. And it's removing the things that God does not want there. So there's no reason for us to hold on to those things. He wants us to release them, to let it go. Our response needs to be, let her burn. He's a consuming fire. He wants to consume those things. So the things that he's shaking off of us are for our own benefit. I'm hearing reports of spontaneous prayer and worship happening in people's homes. One of the words given to one of our churches in the USA just 2 weeks ago was the Lord is bringing them out of complacency and bringing them to a greater desire and passion in the Holy Spirit. In times of shaking, many times the church at large looks for a way out. I'm encouraged because the Dove family, I hear people within the Dove family are looking for a way into society, a way into situations, a way in to bring about change in people's lives. When Jesus came, he didn't come just to preach the gospel of salvation. He came to preach the gospel of the kingdom. Very simply put, the gospel of the kingdom is his way of doing things. And we take his way of doing things and we take them into society, into that which God has called us to bring about change. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14 says, the earth will be filled with the knowledge and the glory of the Lord. Dove family, I'm so grateful that you're not looking for a way out. You're looking for a way into society, into circumstances, into situations to bring about change. Hebrews chapter 12, he starts this chapter with these words. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. The church is on the move. Dove family, I'm so encouraged that you're on the move as well. Let's run with God. May the Lord bless you.